Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Divine Feminine Awakened. I'm your host, Melanie, and I'm so grateful you're here. Last week, we delved into the journey of self-acceptance, a crucial foundation for everything we'll explore together. And today, we're diving into the profound and often challenging concept of impermanence. As we journey through this topic, I invite you to reflect on moments of change in your own life. How have they shaped you? And what have you learned from them? Let's explore these questions together. Impermanence is a concept rooted deeply in many philosophical and spiritual traditions, including Buddhism and Stoicism. It's the understanding that everything in life is in a constant state of flux. Nothing remains the same forever. This idea might sound unsettling at first, but it can actually be incredibly liberating. Let me share a story with you. So many years ago, my husband and I decided to move to a new state, several states away from where we were currently living. It was a huge change. We were leaving family members, lifelong friends, like familiar places we had grew up around, and really just the comfort of everything we had known. The sadness and the fear of the unknown was extremely overwhelming. At the time we had a 2-year-old, and if you know anything about 2-year-olds, they're finding their legs. They're curious about everything. So they're wanting to eat, touch, smell everything. And so having a 2-year-old keeps you pretty busy. And then add going to a place where you knew no one, you had no plans in place for employment, nor did you have a home set up to go to. Like when I say that we just randomly picked a place to move, I'm not kidding. Like we were driving through the Smoky Mountains one time and I just happened to fall in love. And I had made a passing comment to my husband at the time that if we ever moved, I wanted to move to somewhere in the Smoky Mountains. So a few years later, lo and behold, we decide to make that move, get on Google, locate a small town in the Smoky Mountains, book a U-Haul and a hotel room for the week, and basically said, okay, we've got a week to make this work. And so despite not having any support whatsoever, we ventured out anyway. And sure enough, within that week, we were able to get into a home. My husband was able to find some work because I was a stay-at-home mom. And as we began to settle into our new life, I realized that this change was an opportunity for growth. Like it had highlighted the transient nature of our circumstances and taught me to embrace the present moment. Understanding impermanence can shift our perspective on life's challenges and joys. It reminds us that nothing lasts forever, which can help us appreciate the beauty in each moment and also release fears about the future. Because after all, that's all anxiety is. The fear of the future, of the unknown, of what's coming. And impermanence isn't just about loss. It's also about growth and renewal. It's about finding the courage to let go of whatever is not working for you and the grace to move forward, to find something new, to grow. Impermanence is all around us, manifesting in everyday experiences. Think about the changing of the seasons, the evolution of our relationships, or even the growth of a child. These changes, though sometimes subtle, remind us of life's dynamic nature. I have a friend, we'll call her Sarah. So she recently shared this beautiful story with me. I was venting over the frustrations I had with my wormwood this year. We've had a really bad drought, so one of them has already died off, and I am fighting to keep this one alive. Anyway, she talked about her garden and how each year she eagerly awaits the blooming of her favorite flowers. Peonies. She loves peonies, and she has them everywhere in her yard. So some years the blooms are vibrant and plentiful, and others not so much. But she said with that, she's learned to appreciate each season's unique beauty, knowing that her garden is always changing. And she even said that this simple yet profound realization had helped her to embrace changes in other areas of her life as well. And after she told me this, I had to tell her, I really, really love this perspective and never thought to look at it this way. And I even said that I was going to keep that little saying or thought in my back pocket the next time that I was either venting or complaining. But being present and mindful is really the key to appreciating impermanence, in my opinion. When we practice mindfulness, we learn to savor the moment without attachment. We become more aware of the fleeting nature of our experiences, and we can deepen our appreciation for them. So I want to share a few practical tips that I use to embrace impermanence in my daily life. Spend a few minutes each day in meditation. It doesn't have to be long, it can be 5 minutes, but spend that time focusing on your breath and the present moment. Or you can write your experiences and feelings in a journal or a notebook, just reflecting on how they've changed over time. And it'll be interesting to go back in the future and read through those experiences and kind of revisit or reflect on the lessons that you learned through them and how far you grew from those experiences. And one of my favorites that I think is super simple to do at the start of your day, just set a simple intention. Just to embrace whatever comes, knowing that everything's temporary. And then go back at the end of the day and reflect on what took place. See how you look at things differently. Now let's talk about the emotional side of impermanence, especially when it comes to loss and major life transitions. So when one of my dogs passed away, the grief felt insurmountable. Losing a pet who had been a constant companion for years was incredibly painful and unexpected. We came back from vacation a long story short, to her having an injured leg. It wasn't anything that was surprising. She was older in her years, had hip dysplasia, so it wasn't uncommon for her to sleep on that leg wrong, and then for several days after to be limping and kind of nursing that leg. So when my brother had called and said that she was having issues with her leg, we assumed that that was what it was. So when we came home, took a look at her, we quickly realized that it was not the same issue and that we needed to get it checked out. And unfortunately, through the vet visit, we had found the unfortunate news that she had somehow gotten cancer, and it was so far advanced that it was going to kill her. And so instead of watching her suffer, we were forced to come to the decision to put her to sleep. And so that was very, very unexpected. But embracing the impermanence of life really helped me to navigate through that difficult time. You know, I realized that the love and joy Roxy had brought into our lives was precious because it was fleeting. And this perspective allowed me to honor her memory and then also cherish the moments that we have with our other dog, Gunner, because he's just a couple years younger than her. So it's going to happen at some point. When we face loss, it's natural to feel a spectrum of emotions: grief, sadness, anger, and even confusion. These feelings are an integral part of the healing journey. Embracing impermanence reminds us that these emotions, like all things, will evolve over time. Just as the seasons change and flowers bloom and fade, our emotional states are in constant motion. Honoring our feelings and allowing ourselves the time and space to grieve without judgment is crucial. And as we navigate our grief, we can build resilience by finding meaning in our experiences and recognizing the lessons and the growth they bring. There's a profound connection between impermanence and self-acceptance. By accepting change, we also learn to accept ourselves. One experience that sticks out to me is growing through a very significant career transition from being an employee to going into self-employment. And I felt uncertain and even doubted my abilities. Even to this day, on my bad days, I still doubt my abilities. But by embracing the impermanence of my situation, I also learned to trust the process, and more importantly, to trust myself. Accepting impermanence helps us let go of perfectionism and those unrealistic expectations we set on ourselves. It teaches us that it's okay to change, to grow, and to evolve. This self-acceptance is crucial for our well-being. It allows us to be gentle with ourselves, understanding that our feelings and experiences are natural parts of being human. So let's try a few exercises to practice self-acceptance in the context of change. One skill I learned in my yoga teacher training was the use of affirmations. So just repeating positive affirmations that reinforce your self-worth and resilience. For example, I am capable of handling change. Or I accept myself as I am in this moment. Again, meditative reflections. So spend a few moments each day reflecting on your experiences and emotions. Acknowledge them without judgment, and then remind yourself that they are temporary. And then we come back to journaling. But this time it's gratitude journaling. So you're writing down things you're grateful for each day. Usually, first thing in the morning, this is something that I try to do. If I don't write it down in my journal, then while I'm drinking my cup of coffee, I try to think of 3 things that morning that I'm grateful for. And I even got my husband into doing it. So now, on days that we are just having a shit show or we just need it, we take turns finding 3 things that we're grateful for. And it has done wonders for changing our mindset and focusing more so on the positive and being able to cope with those negative experiences in our lives. Now, we are getting close to the end of our episode, but before we close, I'd like to guide you guys through a brief yoga sequence designed to help you connect with the concept of impermanence and ground yourself in the present moment. So if you're able, meet me on your mat or find a comfortable space where you can move freely. Begin standing at the top of your mat with your feet together or hips width apart, whichever feels more comfortable for you. Spread your toes wide and press evenly through all 4 corners of your feet. Feel the earth beneath you, rooting down firmly. And as you root through your feet, feel your spine lengthen upwards. Lift through the crown of your head, elongating your neck and spine. Roll your shoulders up towards your ears, then back and down. Let your arms hang naturally by your sides with palms facing forward. Fingers are relaxed but active, reaching towards the floor. Take a deep breath. And with each exhale, feel your spine grow taller. And root down through your feet even more. And stay in mountain pose for several breaths. Feel the stability of the ground beneath you. Yet acknowledge that even in stillness, there's movement in your breath and body. Take a deep inhale and lengthen your spine, reaching your arms overhead to the sky. Feel the crown of your head lift as your fingertips stretch upward. With your exhale, fold at your hips. Begin to fold forward, keeping a slight bend in your knees, especially if your hamstrings are tight. Allow your arms to drain down towards the floor, fingertips reaching for your toes. And let your head hang heavy, releasing any tension in your neck. Now, if you're feeling tension in your lower back, go ahead and bend your knees more generously. The goal is to bring your chest closer to your thighs, not to touch your toes. Breathe deeply here. And with each exhale, surrender a bit more to the fold. Feel the stretch along your hamstrings and lower back. Now, if you need more support, use blocks under your hands or keep your hands on your shins or your thighs. And on your inhale, engage your core and begin to slowly rise up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Now coming down on the mat to an all fours position. Make sure your shoulders are stacked over your wrists, knees, hips width apart. And when you're ready, go ahead and sit back on your heels. Now begin to lower your chest forward, bringing your forehead to the mat. Arms are extended out in front of you or resting by your sides in child's pose. And take a few deep breaths here in your lower back, letting go completely. Feel the sense of surrender, knowing that everything, even this pose, is temporary. And moving into our final pose of the practice, our Savasana. So go ahead and lie down on your back, arms resting at your side, palms facing up. Allow your arms and legs to relax completely. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Noticing how each inhale and exhale flows in and out like the tides. Take your time coming out of Savasana, and when you're ready, gently bring yourself back to a seated position. Remember, this yoga practice, like all things, is a reminder of the beauty of impermanence. Now let's close our practice with a guided meditation on impermanence. Find a comfortable seated position, either on the floor or in a chair. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. As you continue to breathe, allow your body to relax with each exhale. Imagine you're sitting by a river. The water flows steadily, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. You watch as leaves, twigs, and petals float by, carried by the current. Each one represents a moment, a thought, a feeling, drifting by, never to return in exactly the same way. As you observe the river, remind yourself that life is like a river, always moving, always changing. Every experience, every emotion is a leaf on the water. Allow yourself to acknowledge the impermanence of each thought and feeling as it arises. Inhale, embracing the present moment, and exhale, letting go of attachment to what was or what will be. Know that just like the river, you are constantly evolving, growing, and flowing with life's changes. Embrace the flow, trust the journey, and find peace in the impermanence of all things. Take one more deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, bringing awareness back to the present. Carry the sense of calm and acceptance with you as you go about your day. As we wrap this episode up, let's recap on the journey we've taken today. We explored the nature of impermanence, how it shows up in our daily lives, and how it can help us cope with loss and change. We also discussed the deep connection between embracing impermanence and practicing self-acceptance. By understanding that everything is temporary, we can find beauty and meaning in the present moment and learn to accept ourselves with greater compassion. I hope you found the yoga sequence and guided meditation helpful in deepening your connection to the concept of impermanence. Remember, these practices are tools you can return to whenever you need a reminder of life's natural flow. Thank you for being here with me today on Divine Feminine Awakened. Your presence means so much, and I hope you're walking away from this episode with a renewed sense of peace and acceptance. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Your support helps me reach more people and continue these important conversations. And don't forget to stay connected with me on my various social medias at Yoga with Melanie on Facebook and Breathe Appalachia on Instagram. And share your thoughts and experiences with the hashtag Divine Feminine Awakened. I'd love to hear how impermanence shows up in your life. Next week, we'll dive into the topic of compassion and kindness, nurturing a compassionate heart towards yourself and others. This exploration builds on the understanding of impermanence, reminding us of the importance of empathy in our daily lives. Until then, embrace the flow of life, honor your journey, and remember, every moment is a gift. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on Divine Feminine Awakening.